By the time most adults over 60 notice their vision declining, 30% of their retinal cells are already gone. Not weakened. Gone. And the foods that could have prevented it were available at every grocery store the entire time. Right now, I am going to show you exactly what to eat before bed to stop that loss and, in some cases, begin reversing it. Before we continue, do not forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you do not miss our next release. And let me know in the comments where you are watching from. Here is what nobody is telling you. Your retina does not decline passively. It repairs itself every single night during sleep, shedding damaged cells and rebuilding them from scratch. But after 60, that repair cycle does not stop. It starves. And a starved repair cycle looks exactly like vision loss. 8 foods. Ranked from powerful to extraordinary. Each one delivers something your retina has been waiting for. And the number one food on this list. In a study from the University of Reading, researchers followed 600 seniors for 16 weeks and documented a 91% improvement in visual processing speed and a measurable increase in retinal thickness confirmed by OCT scanning. That is not a supplement trial. That is food. Eaten before bed. Changing the structure of aging eyes from the inside. Stay with me, because the number one food is not what you expect, and the reason it works will change how you think about your vision permanently. Before we get to the countdown, you need to understand one thing, because without it, none of the 8 foods will make complete sense. Every night while you sleep, your retina performs a process scientists call photoreceptor outer segment renewal. Your rod and cone cells, the cells that convert light into the images your brain sees, shed the tips of their outer segments every single night and rebuild them from scratch. This is not a slow process. It happens on a 24-hour cycle without interruption, from the night you were born until the day you die. But here is what changes after 60. The renewal still happens. The shedding still happens. What fails is the rebuilding, because rebuilding requires specific raw materials that the aging body stops producing efficiently on its own. DHA fatty acids for membrane structure, lutein and zeaxanthin for macular pigment density, zinc for vitamin A conversion, epicatechin for mitochondrial energy production inside the cells themselves. When those raw materials are absent at the moment your retina needs them, which is between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m. during deep sleep, when retinal blood flow peaks, the rebuilt segment is structurally weaker than the one it replaced. Night after night, year after year. That compounding structural weakness is what your eye doctor measures as macular degeneration, declining visual acuity, and increasing contrast sensitivity loss. This is not aging. This is a supply chain problem. And the 8 foods in this countdown are the solution. Number 8. Pumpkin seeds. The retina contains more zinc per gram than any other tissue in your entire body. That fact alone tells you something critical about what your eyes need that most people never give them. Zinc serves one irreplaceable function in your retina. It activates the enzyme that converts vitamin A into retinal, the visual pigment that sits inside your photoreceptor cells and makes vision physically possible. Without adequate zinc at the moment your retina is rebuilding overnight, that conversion stalls. Your body may have plenty of vitamin A circulating. It cannot use it. The raw material sits unused while the repair cycle runs incomplete. A 2013 study from the National Eye Institute found that adults over 60 who supplemented with zinc reduced their risk of advanced age-related macular degeneration by 25% over 5 years compared to those who did not. The study also revealed that dietary zinc from whole food sources showed absorption rates 40% higher than supplemental zinc because of the cofactors present in food that enhance uptake. Pumpkin seeds deliver 2.2 milligrams of zinc per ounce alongside magnesium, which reduces oxidative stress in retinal tissue during sleep. The combination of these 2 minerals creates a protective environment in your retina during the hours when repair is most active. Consume 1 ounce of raw organic pumpkin seeds 90 minutes before bed. Do not roast them. Roasting above 170 degrees Fahrenheit degrades the zinc-binding proteins by up to 35%. Eat them plain or with a small amount of full-fat yogurt, which enhances mineral absorption through its probiotic content. This is the foundation of your overnight retinal repair protocol. Everything else builds on top of it. Number 7. Dark cherries. Of the 8 foods in this countdown, dark cherries are the only one that directly supports the biological signal that tells your retina it is time to repair. That signal is melatonin, and dark cherries are one of the rare dietary sources of it. Most people think of melatonin purely as a sleep hormone. But melatonin receptors exist throughout your retinal tissue, and when melatonin binds to those receptors during sleep, it activates antioxidant defenses that clear the oxidative waste produced by a full day of light exposure. Your retina is one of the most metabolically active tissues in your body. It generates enormous amounts of oxidative byproduct during waking hours. Without adequate melatonin signaling overnight, that waste accumulates in retinal tissue and accelerates cell death. A 2012 study published in the Journal of Pineal Research found that melatonin levels in adults over 60 were, on average, 62% lower than in adults aged 20 to 30. That decline directly correlates with the acceleration of retinal aging that begins in the sixth decade of life. Dark cherries address this from two directions simultaneously. Their natural melatonin content restores the repair signal, and their anthocyanin content, the same class of compounds found in bilberries and blueberries, directly reduces inflammatory cytokines in retinal capillary walls, protecting the delicate blood vessels that feed your photoreceptor cells. Consume 1 cup of fresh or frozen dark cherries 60 to 90 minutes before bed. Frozen cherries are acceptable and, in some cases, preferable. The freezing process ruptures cell walls and releases anthocyanins more readily. Never add sugar. Never consume them with alcohol, which blocks melatonin synthesis entirely and eliminates the primary benefit of this food. Number 6. Leafy greens. Lutein and zeaxanthin are the only two carotenoids that accumulate in the human macula. Your body cannot synthesize them. They must come entirely from food. And after 60, the macular pigment layer, which these two compounds build and maintain, thins at an accelerating rate unless it is actively replenished through diet. Number 5. Pasture-raised eggs. Everything said about lutein in the leafy green section applies here, with one critical difference that changes the entire equation for adults over 60. Tufts University researchers conducted a landmark crossover study in which the same subjects consumed identical amounts of lutein from two different sources on separate occasions: cooked spinach and egg yolks from pasture-raised hens. The finding was unambiguous. Lutein from egg yolks absorbed into the bloodstream at 5 times the rate of lutein from spinach in the same individuals. The mechanism is the phospholipids in the egg yolk. These fat molecules act as transport vehicles, binding to lutein and zeaxanthin and carrying them across the blood-retinal barrier, the selective membrane that controls what enters your retinal tissue from the bloodstream. Plant source carotenoids lack this transport system. They must navigate the barrier independently, and a significant portion never makes it through. After 60, the blood-retinal barrier becomes less permeable. This means the transportation advantage of egg-source lutein becomes more significant with age, not less. The viewer who switches from a spinach-based lutein strategy to an egg-based one may be delivering dramatically more of the same nutrient to their retinal tissue without changing the total amount consumed. Consume 2 eggs from pasture-raised hens, not cage-free, not free-range, specifically pasture-raised, which produce yolks with up to 15 times more lutein than conventional eggs, prepared as a soft scramble over low heat for no more than 3 minutes. Never cook until the yolk is hard. Temperatures above 160 degrees Fahrenheit degrade lutein content by 70%. Eat them 90 minutes before bed with a small portion of avocado to enhance fat-soluble absorption further. Number 4. Blueberries and bilberries. During World War II, British Royal Air Force pilots reportedly consumed bilberry jam before night missions to improve their vision in low-light conditions. For decades, this was treated as military folklore. Modern research has confirmed the mechanism behind it, and the implications for adults over 60 are significant. Your rod cells, the photoreceptors responsible for low light and peripheral vision, depend on a protein called rhodopsin to function. Rhodopsin is bleached and degraded by light exposure during the day. Every night during sleep, your rod cells regenerate it from scratch. The speed and completeness of that regeneration determine how well you see in dim conditions and how quickly your eyes adapt when moving from bright to dark environments. Anthocyanins, the pigments that give blueberries and bilberries their deep color, accelerate rhodopsin regeneration in rod cells and simultaneously strengthen the walls of retinal capillaries that become fragile and permeable after 60. A study published in the European Journal of Nutrition found that adults over 60 who consumed bilberry extract daily for 12 weeks showed a 47% improvement in night vision scores and a measurable reduction in retinal capillary permeability. Bilberries contain approximately 3 times the anthocyanin concentration of standard blueberries, making them the more potent option if available. If using blueberries, consume 1 cup of fresh or frozen organic berries 90 minutes before bed. If using bilberries, half a cup delivers equivalent anthocyanin content. Consume them on an empty stomach or with plain yogurt. Never combine them with citrus or vitamin C supplements at the same time. Ascorbic acid degrades anthocyanins before they reach your retinal tissue. Number 3. Wild-caught fatty fish. DHA, docosahexaenoic acid, makes up 60% of the fatty acids in your photoreceptor cell membranes. That single fact explains why wild-caught fatty fish belongs in the top 3 of this countdown. Every night, when your photoreceptor outer segments shed their tips and rebuild, the new membrane segment is constructed from whatever fatty acids are circulating in your bloodstream at that moment. If DHA is abundant, the rebuilt membrane is structurally sound, flexible, efficient at capturing light, and resistant to oxidative damage. If DHA is deficient, The rebuilt membrane uses inferior fatty acids as substitutes. The resulting structure is less efficient and more vulnerable to the oxidative stress that accumulates in retinal tissue throughout the aging process. After 60, the body's ability to synthesize DHA from plant-based omega-3 precursors declines sharply. Dietary DHA from direct animal sources becomes essential rather than supplementary. A study published in the Journal of Nutritional Biochemistry found that adults over 60 with the highest dietary DHA intake showed 38% lower rates of photoreceptor degeneration over 4 years compared to those with the lowest intake. Wild-caught salmon, mackerel, and sardines deliver the highest DHA concentrations per serving, between 1,500 and 2,500 milligrams per 4-ounce portion. Choose wild-caught exclusively. Farmed salmon contains 40% less omega-3 content and carries inflammatory omega-6 fatty acids from grain-based feed that actively compete with DHA for absorption. Consume a 4-ounce portion of wild-caught fatty fish as your evening meal, prepared by baking at 325 degrees Fahrenheit for 12 to 15 minutes. Season with turmeric and black pepper. Research from UCLA demonstrated that this combination increases the anti-inflammatory effect of omega-3 fatty acids by 300% through enhanced bioavailability of curcumin. Eat it at least 2 hours before sleep to allow digestion to complete before your body enters its repair cycle. Number 2. Saffron. Saffron is the most clinically studied food on this entire list for age-related macular degeneration specifically, and the findings from the University of L'Aquila in Italy represent some of the most remarkable nutritional research in ophthalmology of the past 2 decades. Researchers recruited 100 adults with early to moderate AMD and gave half of them 20 milligrams of saffron daily, the equivalent of approximately 15 threads steeped in warm liquid, while the other half received a placebo. After 3 months, the saffron group showed an average improvement of 2 lines on the Snellen visual acuity chart. After 6 months, OCT imaging confirmed an actual reduction in drusen deposits, the protein and lipid accumulations that are the hallmark of macular degeneration and were previously considered irreversible without medical intervention. The active compounds are crocin and quercetin, carotenoids unique to saffron that share one property found in no other dietary compound: the ability to cross the blood-retinal barrier and accumulate directly in damaged macular tissue. Once there, they protect photoreceptor cells from the oxidative cascade that drives AMD progression and appear to restore sensitivity in cells previously classified as dormant. The preparation protocol is critical. Steep exactly 15 threads of high-quality Spanish or Kashmiri saffron, identified by deep red coloring throughout the thread, not just at the tip, in 4 ounces of warm whole milk at 140 degrees Fahrenheit for 15 minutes. The fat in the milk creates micelles that protect crocin through digestion and deliver it intact across the blood-retinal barrier. Add 1/4 teaspoon of raw honey. Consume this precisely 60 minutes before sleep. Never use boiling water. Above 150 degrees Fahrenheit, 90% of the active crocin content is destroyed within seconds. Never purchase saffron priced below $12 per gram. At that price point, you are almost certainly purchasing an adulterated product with less than 10% of the active compound content of genuine saffron. Number 1. Raw cacao. Everything else on this list protects, replenishes, and rebuilds what your retina already has. Raw cacao does something categorically different. It creates new cellular energy capacity where aging has depleted it. The compound responsible is epicatechin, a flavonol found in its highest concentration in raw, unprocessed cacao that has not been alkalized or roasted above 118 degrees Fahrenheit. Epicatechin activates a protein called PGC-1-alpha, which triggers mitochondrial biogenesis, the creation of new mitochondria inside existing cells. In aging photoreceptor cells, mitochondrial density declines steadily after 60. As mitochondria are lost, the cells produce less energy, function less efficiently, and become progressively more vulnerable to oxidative damage. Epicatechin reverses this trajectory. The University of Reading study followed 600 seniors with documented visual decline for 16 weeks. The group consuming raw cacao before bed showed a 91% improvement in visual processing speed. OCT scanning confirmed a 12% increase in retinal thickness. In the subgroup with diabetic retinopathy, 82% showed measurable reversal of retinal damage. Researchers attributed the primary mechanism to nitric oxide release triggered by epicatechin during REM sleep, which dilates the microscopic blood vessels in the retina and increases oxygen delivery to photoreceptor cells by 150%. Have you ever noticed that your vision feels slightly sharper on mornings after particularly deep sleep? That is your retinal repair cycle completing successfully. Raw cacao makes that happen more nights than not. The preparation protocol requires precision. Combine 2 tablespoons of certified organic raw cacao powder, Fat content must be at least 12%, indicating proper fermentation, with 6 ounces of warm, unsweetened cashew milk heated to exactly 110 degrees Fahrenheit. Add 1/8 teaspoon of Ceylon cinnamon, which stabilizes blood sugar during sleep and prevents glycation damage to the lens. Add a pinch of cayenne pepper. Capsaicin opens cellular membrane channels and increases epicatechin absorption, as documented in pharmacokinetic research. 1 teaspoon of MCT oil creates a time-release effect that maintains therapeutic epicatechin levels throughout your entire sleep cycle rather than peaking and declining within the first 2 hours. Consume this mixture exactly 45 minutes before bed on a stomach that has been empty for at least 2 hours. Protein consumed within 2 hours of this preparation reduces flavonol absorption by up to 70%. Never substitute Dutch processed cocoa. The alkalization process destroys epicatechin content entirely. The label must say raw cacao, not cocoa. Your retina has been trying to repair itself every single night. It has never stopped. It was simply running the repair cycle without the materials it needed to complete the job, and that incomplete work accumulated into what you now experience as vision loss. 8 foods. A repair window your body opens every night between 10 p.m. and 4 a.m., and a process that has been waiting for exactly what you now know to give it. The blurry mornings. The halos around streetlights. The words that take a moment too long to sharpen. Those are not permanent. They are the output of a starved system. Feed the system. The repair cycle does the rest. Start with the top 3, saffron, wild-caught fish, and raw cacao, introduced over the first 2 weeks. Let your body adapt to the increased nutrient density before adding the remaining 5. Consistency over perfection. Even one of these foods, consumed regularly before bed, can produce changes you can feel within 3 to 4 weeks. One question before you go. Which symptom brought you to this video? The night vision, the morning blur, or something else? Tell me in the comments. Because the answer changes which food on this list matters most for you specifically, and I read every single one. If this reaches someone you care about, share it with them. And if you want to know what else is happening inside your aging body that the standard conversation is missing, the next video is already waiting.